Hello guys, welcome back to another lovely trading video. In this one we're going to be doing a small cap stock analysis on both SONM and OPAD. On SONM there's not actually much analysis to do, but I just wanted to let you know if you were confused at why it's up roughly 8 to 900% on the day. And if you're looking at this chart now, you'll see it's up from 35 cents to, well, opened up at around $3.50. That's because it had a reverse stock split, a 10 to 1 reverse stock split, which basically just means they for each stock you owned, or for every 10 stocks you owned, you basically now only own one stock. So that's all that happened with SONM, and that's why it's done that. So you should probably see within the next few days that it will adjust the chart, and you should see it will look a bit more normal. Now onto OPAD, which was an actual gap on the day, and we can do some analysis on this. Is firstly as well, we have created a gap. Firstly, it was at $12.60 to basically $17. We did cover most of this gap today, so now the gap is only $12.60 to around $13.75. That's important to note, because what you'll be able to see with that, if we now can change this to a 1 day 1 minute, is that the gap will still have to be filled. So obviously it filled down to this area here, but the rest of this gap will need to be filled. So we will see it at some point come down and actually it was 12.76 is the actual gap we need to fill, but we will see this area get filled here within the most likely the next few days. So now, using standard deviations, what do we see happening with OPAD? So obviously we opened up, so quite surprisingly actually, above the fourth deviation. That whenever you see that, I never trade it. The reason for that is it's just very overbought in the first place, so it's very risky to trade whether you're going long or short, because yes, it makes sense to be shorting it, but if a stock's already up that much, there's no sense in that stock, so it could easily just continue up as it did today. So yeah, personally not something I'd be trading whenever a stock is closing above those fourth or even third deviations. It's just a very risky stock to trade. So now more, where do we have the price targets on this? So on OPAD, I am just very bearish on it, and what I'd be looking at for is it basically come back down to this $14 level, so around 13.80 to around 13.60. That would at least come into this fourth deviation, and what would most likely happen off here is we would get a bounce, maybe just to like 14.70, but we don't really know how large this bounce will be, and then we will most likely carry on breaking through. And that's what you'll probably see with OPAD, is as soon as it starts reversing down, all we will do is most likely still keep getting small bounces off these deviation levels, but overall it will continue back down into a statistical mean. So what I'll do right now is kind of mark all these key levels to be keeping an eye on, because at each of these levels is most likely where you're going to receive a bounce. And what you will see as well is these deviations line up on both the daily and the 4 hour, so you'll usually get stronger bounces off these area. So what is quite likely is, yes, we'll come into the 13.80 to kind of 13.60. That will kind of bounce off this fourth deviation. It may only go up to probably go up to around like $15 before continuing down. Then what we'll be looking at, then it will probably be, then it will come down, break down into the 12.75 down to around 12.60 area. Again, you will probably, you will receive a bounce off this area to kind of 13.60. Test it again, most likely fail. Do the same thing at $11.80, get a bounce, continue down lower. Same thing at $10.80, bounce, probably retest this and fail, until we start coming into around this $9.80, because this is the statistical mean. So that's mainly our main target on OPAD, is we will most likely see it return to this statistical mean within the near future. We could see it this Friday, or very early next week as my time estimate on it. The only thing you can also be looking out for on OPAD, those are the main targets, but when a stock becomes very oversold, overbought should I say, it then becomes very oversold. So it wouldn't be unlikely for us on OPAD to actually come down lower and actually starting to fill these gaps. Or actually sorry, this gap has been filled, but it wouldn't be unlikely for us to kind of just come down and maybe even break into a newer low. I wouldn't be surprised if we see us back down to around the low $8, because it doesn't seem all that unreasonable, because you will get a lot of selling pressure. People are shorting, so obviously that will drive pressure. People are long and they'll be getting stopped out, and that will just continue to this downward pressure and will most likely lead it to break to a lower low. At least that's my analysis on OPAD, so I hope that helps you give some insight into that. If you didn't already know, SONM was a reverse stock split, now you do. And so that's basically it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, hope to see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.